Their First Date by CrackedInkWell. Read by The Bucket Bros. Part 5, 748.
And then she's like, "Record, I already told you the assignment was due today."
Record was talking to Octave, mimicking his history teacher at school. It had been a little over a half an hour since they left the Singing Cat, and the two of them had wandered into Canterlot's Central Square. The plaza was a large, public space that usually held outdoor events for tourists. It was the kind of place where vendors, shop owners, and food carts could sell low-quality goods at high prices. Any pony who grew up in the capital knows that it was an expensive tourist trap where ponies from out of the city could take pictures of a famous location. But on some days of the year, the public space was often used for holidays. During Heartswarming Eve, they would decorate a giant seasonal tree in the square. Or for the Summer Sun celebration, where the prince himself would ceremoniously rise the sun in public. There was no reason for either Octave or Record to be there. In fact, neither of them realized exactly where they were. The two of them had been going back and forth, telling jokes and stories, as well as sharing their opinions for several minutes. Record continued with his story.
And so I said, "What are you talking about? Your syllabus said it's due tomorrow." I even showed her the paper. But she's all like, "Weren't you here last week?" I already said that it was a misprint. I tried telling her that I was sick that week, and no pony said anything about it. So do you know what she did?
Octave shook his head.
She gave me an F. Why? She knew I wasn't there when she changed the date. It's so unfair. It's like she's out to get me.
Sounds an awful lot like my old music teacher,
Octave commented.
Although not as unpredictable, Miss Trill was always unfair to me. Why, I remember during one piano lesson, I told her that I was trying out the cello for almost a month, and that I was pretty good at it. Do you know what she said? She gave me a lecture on how difficult it is to play a string instrument, and how I was too young to learn to play something like that, and that I ought to stick with the piano. Don't you just hate it when adults think that we're too incompetent, or not talented enough, or don't know enough to be taken seriously? Just because we aren't 25 doesn't mean we can't understand anything for ourselves.
I know. Brony. I mean, just because we're younger than them doesn't mean that all of us are stupid.
Exactly!
Octave exclaimed.
At last, some pony who actually gets it.
Record nodded.
Yeah, same here.
Octave stopped for a moment to take a look at where they were.
Hey, how long have we been walking?
Octave looked up as well, quickly realizing where in Canterlot they were.
I must say, it's been quite some time since we left the house. I just didn't notice until now.
Yeah.
Record glanced around, before something in the middle of the square.
Hey, what's this?
Octave followed his date to what he was looking at. At first, the cellist felt confused, for he was quite sure that he's never seen a stand-up piano in the middle of the square before, especially when the same piano had words written in chalk across the front, reading, "Play me."
What is a piano doing out here for?
Octave asked, walking around the piano, looking for any signs of an owner, in which he couldn't find anything. No name, no label, just a stand-up piano in the middle of the square.
"Hey, Octi,"
Record called him, sitting down on the bench that stood in front of the instrument.
"Come sit with me."
Octave obeyed. He sat down beside the DJ, unsure as to what his friend had in mind.
"You mind playing me something?"
Record asked.
"After all, I made some music for you, so maybe now you can repay me with the favor."
Play you what?
Octave raised an eyebrow.
You know I don't know anything outside of classical music, right?
That's the thing,
Record said, his cheeks turning pink.
I was thinking, do you happen to know how to play anything?
Yes.
Do you happen to know how to play Horse Chaplain?
Octave was taken completely off guard by this. It wasn't because he didn't know how to play any of Horse Chaplin's music, nor had he not been asked by any pony to play one of the composer's nocturnes. What was surprising to him was that Record, the DJ, the blasting through his headphones techno, remix, dubstep Record, had asked him if he knew how to play Horse Chaplain.
I know only two. Why?
Would you mind playing some for me?
Record asked, his cheeks now turning a bright scarlet.
I mean, there's a free piano here, and no pony's asking us to leave, so how about it? Would you mind playing some for me?
You want me to play a classical piece?
The Grey Earth pony questioned.
I thought you didn't like anything classical.
Record turned away, and with a low voice, said,
Hock, can I tell you something?
His date responded with a nod, so he stated,
The truth is, I don't listen to techno music all the time. There's some stuff I like to listen to every now and again. I know I'm a DJ, and I do like using the turntable and remixing music to make it sound better, but sometimes I like to listen to other kind of music, just to make me relax.
Relax? What do you mean?
Look, I don't always admit this, so don't tell any pony at school. I don't want them to think I'm a nerd. Hey, don't look at me like that. Just hear me out, okay?
The unicorn took a deep breath.
It's kind of a guilty pleasure, really. Truth is, dude, whenever I feel depressed or am looking for inspiration,
Well, spit it out.
Octave said.
I listen to some Horse Joplin.
Record mumbled.
There! I said it! I sometimes listen to classical music too.
Octave's jaw dropped.
I'm sorry, did I hear that right?
The cellist said.
Are you saying that a DJ like yourself has some culture?
Record lifted his purple shades, glaring at him.
Hey, a DJ can't live on remixes alone. No pony can. Look, I'm not as obsessed as you are when it comes to this stuff, and some of the stuff those guys have written isn't good at all. But when they got it right, they got it right.
Octave blinked.
Wow, Record, I never imagined hearing anything like that coming from you. Not only that, but I agree.
Record tilted his head to the side.
Huh?
To tell you the truth, from some pony who does play classical music from different time periods, there are some pieces that even I find completely dreary. Even Most Trot, rest her soul, I've often found has written some unbelievably dull pieces. I often find myself bored out of my mind playing some of them, because they lack emotion.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying.
The DJ nodded.
I'm not sure if it's the same way with you, but have you ever found a song that the guy who made it somehow knows what you're going through?
Would you clarify that?
I mean,
Record turned to the piano keys.
whenever I listen to Horse Joplin, I don't know how to describe this. It's like she knew what I was going through, you know? Whenever I had a rough day at school, or Ma gets angry for some reason, I just listen to some of that piano music and it makes me feel relaxed.
Octave nodded.
I believe I understand. But is Horse Joplin the only composer you listen to?
Only her, and V. Philly, and some Mostrad, and some Chikoltzi, and Beethoven. Ooh, and that one bit from Stravinsky.
Stravinsky? Really?
Octave blinked.
Which one?
You know, that one song, The Rite of Spring?
Record admitted.
You know it's a ballad, not a song.
Octave corrected him.
Whatever.
The unicorn waved a hoof dismissively.
I like it. I get inspiration from my music by listening to that.
You do?
Duh. I mean, have you heard it lately? It's got rhythms within rhythms, beats within beats. It's every DJ's dream to make something like that.
For a moment, the couple sat there in an awkward silence until Octave broke it by asking,
You said for me to play some Horse Joplin, correct?
Yeah.
Record nodded.
Would you mind playing some for me?
Octave thought for a moment about what to play. When he decided on a piece, he smiled at Record.
Very well. For you, then.
He took a deep breath. He put his hooves on the keys and began to play. Somehow, when he played the dreamlike piano music, it was almost as if the instrument played itself. The street and window lights cast both light and shadow off of the buildings, the street, and the piano, while Record reflected on the music perfectly. He didn't notice the crowd that was gathering around him. How could he, with those ruby eyes to look at? In fact, even when he finished it, the applause he received seemed to his ears rather muted.